Oh gosh, Jolly Boy, I just can't wait to see Cloud Atlas.
Yesterday, my life was headed in one direction. Today, it is headed in another. You ever think the universe was against you?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to MaffmanJones Reviews. I am John, and today's featured movie is Cloud Atlas. This film stars an ensemble cast of actors including Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugo Weaving, the guy from 21 and Across the Universe, and a few other people as well. I would give a chocolate chip cookie, to anyone who could come out of this movie cold and explain the plot and give a synopsis right off the top of their heads. But what I could say about this movie in terms of plot is that it concerns several timelines that span centuries, a big scope of time, and somehow these characters that are intertwined within these timelines connect somehow. Yes, that synopsis was very vague and broad, and if it confused the shit out of you, well, welcome to my world. Now, this film was directed by the Wachowskis, no longer the Wachowski brothers, who directed The Matrix and Speed Racer, because one of the Wachowski brothers ain't a brother no more. No. Before I delve into this movie for real, I want to get everything off the top of my brain that I really enjoyed about this movie, like, without getting confusing on you people. The acting, the visual cinematography, the makeup effects, and the screenplay. The acting all around was top-notch. Great acting that served the movie very well and also complemented it. Tom Hanks, he plays like 7 different people in this movie, and he rocks them all. If nothing else, you can't not say that this movie was visually impressive. The cinematography for this movie is absolutely stunning. All the work that went into the visual effects is just mind-blowing. The scale of it is just beyond words. I don't know how they pulled it off. The movie visually is very inspiring. I can name on the top of my head 3 or 4 movies that this movie was inspired by, especially the future scene, which was definitely Blade Runner, among others. And going off of the visuals, because these are actually very visually appealing, the makeup effects. The makeup effects for this movie are some of the best I've seen in years. While I did believe that some of the makeup effects for some of the actors' characters in the different timelines were kind of cheesy and off-putting, a lot of it was just really awe-inspiring and really awesome to look at. Now let's dive into the core of the earth with this movie. This film is very ambitious. Perhaps too ambitious for its own good. There's something about this movie specifically that just felt very important and just significant to society that we live in for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like proper judgment cannot be fulfilled for this movie until a decade or 2 from now, because people are going to walk out of this movie and just be like, wow, that was great, or just be like, that was a waste of my time. You have to come away with it that there was a lot of effort put into this movie. And the Wachowskis, even though this movie might feel a little self-indulgent, really self-indulgent, and it might feel like a movie that they want to make solely for themselves and not for anybody else, because we want to make a 3-hour epic, and we don't care how long it is and how really crazy it is, but we're going to come out with it, and if people don't like it, well, f*** them. First of all, I don't think they would come away with that attitude. I really think they wanted to make something special here. This movie's going to be very divided, and movies that are very divided tend to become very popular in pop culture down the road, and I feel like that's going to happen with this movie, possibly. There's all these alternate timelines with all these characters, and somehow, which this is very impressive, the Wachowskis put together this film and made it very, even though it could be confusing and weird, it's cohesive, actually, if you think about it. It really comes together with clarity and justice, and by the end of the movie, if you're paying attention, you'll get it. For the most part, get the main point. Maybe not little points, but for the most part, you'll get the big picture of what this movie's trying to say. The way this movie's set up and gets you into the story, it leaves you with a lot of questions, and for the most part, they're answered, but the way it's edited, you're always left with questions, and you, at least for me at least, I was thoroughly engaged. The 3 hours didn't go by fast. The pacing was really off at a lot of points, but the whole movie I was invested. You should be invested by the first half an hour for any movie, but if you're not invested by the first hour mark, The last 2 hours will be a very painful experience to endure. If you're not on for this ride from the get-go, you will mentally die. One thing I want to mention before I wrap this up is that all these actors are playing multiple characters, and Hugo Weaving plays, aside from Tom Hanks, in my opinion, the most interesting characters, and one that he plays in the far distant future, who antagonizes Tom Hanks' character, is like a mix of the Mad Hatter, the Grinch, and Kazoo from the Flintstones. This movie is not the easiest film to review, to say the least, but Cloud Atlas is a very ambitious movie. If you have some remote interest in it, you should give it a watch. If you don't see it, because you will have a really hard time enduring this movie. It'll be the worst 3 hours of your life. The movie itself is very impressive, and it's just a feat in itself that the Wachowskis put this movie together with cohesive matter. In order to fully understand this movie, it's going to take multiple viewings, analysis in like magazines, online ventures and stuff. But one day perhaps it will come to light what this movie is fully meant to explore and mean. And I think I understand what it means, but there's a lot more to this movie than meets the eye. And for it being very ambitious, and even though I didn't love it, I will give it 4 out of 5 stars. And it will be very intriguing to see what happens with this movie years down the road. If you've seen Cloud Atlas, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. Please like this video and subscribe up there. Also check out my Twitter and Facebook accounts on my channel itself. I'm John from MaffmanJones Reviews. God, this movie is... oh man. See you next time.
I believe there is another world waiting for us. A better world. And I'll be waiting for you there.